Hey guys, this is Bassima. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about freelancing, productivity, and life coaching tips. My focus on this channel is to always make freelancing and productivity feel as simple and as achievable as possible. So for today's video, we're going to be looking at the 7 ways to have more energy when you're working from home. I think most of us can agree that when we started working remotely, we were super excited about getting to work from home. But then after a while, you might have noticed that your energy and your productivity started to decrease. That definitely was the case for me and a lot of my clients. So before you jump straight into including some of the energy management tips that I'm going to share with you today, I do want you to take some time first to reflect on what is actually sucking up your energy throughout the day. This is oftentimes going to be something that's mentally, emotionally, or physically draining. There's no point of wanting to implement all these tips if you don't first take the time to figure out what is actually making you feel lower energy right now when working from home. When I asked myself this question, it really came down to 2 things. The first being that I didn't feel like I was working on the things that I wanted to, and that I didn't have clear direction. I was feeling way more overwhelmed and way more anxious than usual, and this ended up impacting my energy levels. The second thing was feeling lonely and isolated. I was definitely surprised by this one, but because I didn't feel like I was having enough social interaction throughout the week, I was feeling more lonely than usual, and this really made me feel way more demotivated and feel like I didn't have anything to look forward to throughout the day. So now it's your turn. Before you continue watching this video, I encourage you to figure out what is actually taking up most of your energy right now. Okay, so now let's jump into the energy management tips. The first tip that you can include is having a consistent wake-up time, and more importantly, disconnecting in the evening. The reason why it's so important to set a consistent wake-up time is you really want to build some kind of structure when you're working from home, especially if you're a freelancer, because if not, you can find yourself in a place where nothing really feels like a priority. You could do the work now or you could do it later, and because of that, things tend to get pushed off and you end up doing less than you actually wanted to. Creating structure is definitely going to help you have more energy, and it's also going to help you to accomplish more of what you want to do. Having a consistent wake-up time when you're working from home is not the easiest thing in the world. It really does take some intention to set in place some kind of structure for yourself. But here's the key. I didn't just set a time and just hope for the best. I really made sure that I knew exactly what was going to happen right after I woke up, so that before I actually processed that I was awake so early, I could jump into the first thing that I wanted to do every morning. This is what I encourage you to do as well. Set yourself a consistent wake-up time, and then also set yourself the first step that you're going to do as soon as you wake up. Because you could find yourself waking up every morning at a consistent wake-up time, but then scrolling on your phone for 30 minutes. And I'm assuming that's not your intention when you're trying to increase your energy. Now, the thing that I did for my sleeping time is I didn't set one. And this was the first time that I actually went about it this way. Instead, what I tried to focus on is setting a time to disconnect. I told myself that after 10:30, I wouldn't be on any type of screen. What ended up happening is that I started to wind down naturally, because at one point I realized I didn't have anything to distract me or to keep me up, because I wasn't looking at my phone or my computer. So this alone made me sleepy, and I naturally found myself going to bed at a more consistent time. So try this out if you're feeling like setting a consistent sleeping time hasn't been working for you. Setting a disconnection time actually worked much better for me. So the next tip I have for you is to limit your caffeine or find a more hydrating replacement. This is something that was extremely difficult for me because I do love my iced coffee in the morning, but I did find myself easily having 2 to 3 cups of iced coffee a day. It's so much easier to keep going to the fridge or keep making those coffees when you're working from home. One thing that I truly wanted to do was to limit my caffeine intake, because I did find myself consistently crashing after I had my coffee instead of feeling more awake. The strategy that I decided to use in order to decrease the amount of caffeine that I was consuming and also increase my energy levels was focusing on having 1 to 2 cups of coffee a day. Because I couldn't drink the amount of caffeine that I was before, I had to have a replacement, and this actually became water. So instead of setting a goal of drinking more water, just because I had limited the cups of coffee that I was having throughout the day, I was naturally drinking more water, which had a super positive impact on my energy levels. I highly recommend this if you find yourself consistently crashing throughout the day and that caffeine is not working to your advantage. The next tip that I have for you is to switch up your environment. This is essential when you're working from home because there's truly nothing that's going to impact energy levels like feeling isolated all the time. Your mental health really plays a big role when it comes to your energy levels. Loneliness and energy is an interesting one because I actually was someone that dreamt of working remotely or working from home for a very long time, but I totally underestimated how lonely I would end up feeling. This really took a toll on my mental health after a few months of working online, and I noticed that my productivity started to decrease because my energy levels just weren't there. So I do notice a huge difference when I don't have any social interaction throughout the week versus when I do. So now it's a priority for me to make sure that I'm getting my weekly dose of social interaction. Switching up my environment has truly helped me in feeling more energized and overall more productive. So I definitely recommend that if you can, to start switching up your environment when you're working remotely. So the next thing that you want to do is you want to start getting out first thing in the morning. This doesn't necessarily have to be exercise, but you do want to get some fresh air and some sunlight first thing in the morning. I know that this can be easier said than done because I was there. It was something that was so easy for me to slack on. Unless there was a really good reason for me to leave the house, I could oftentimes find myself not leaving the house for days. So this is something that I've noticed a world of a difference in myself and my coaching clients when it comes to working from home and energy levels. You get a chance to go out, breathe some fresh air, and start your day slowly and peacefully. So if this is something that's not part of your current work from home routine, I highly recommend that you test it out and let me know in the comment section how you feel after starting to implement it. So another thing that you want to do is you really want to make sure that you have an enjoyable morning routine. This can really set you up for a good start to your day and really help with energy levels. I had to play around with my morning routines for a little bit until I found the one that works for me. And I oftentimes see the same thing with my clients. Usually they start with morning routines that contain a ton of steps, and then over time we tend to start to simplify just because it really makes consistency so much easier, and it also makes your morning routine way more enjoyable. So the optimal morning routine I found contains two things. It's really the combination of a habit that you're trying to build and be consistent with something enjoyable right after. So for example, I could tell that I wasn't moving enough when working from home, and it was a habit that I did want to start building. But the challenging part was that I needed to get it done before I actually had to process that it was something I had to do. I wanted it to feel like it was something more natural, something that was happening behind the scenes that I didn't have to think much about. So I started waking up at 5:45 a.m. and then getting up to walk to the gym right away. So I didn't have time to think of the discomfort of the situation or how challenging this new habit was that I was trying to build. Instead, I would walk to the gym, I would do my workout, and then I would walk back. But I knew that as soon as I'd get back, I had this amazing chocolatey pumpkin spice iced coffee waiting for me. That was enough for me to get really excited about going to the gym and coming back so that I had something super enjoyable as part of my morning routine. So it never feels like it's a task that I have to get done that's getting pushed throughout the day. And because of that, I come back home feeling super energized, super accomplished already, and it really sets me up to have a good start to my day. And lastly, if you take anything away from this video, let it be this: it's managing your stress and your overwhelm. This has a way of impacting energy levels when working from home like nothing else. So if you're feeling super stressed and overwhelmed right now and you've noticed that it's impacting or has been impacting your energy levels, forget about all the complex tasks or big goals at hand and really focus on breaking things down as small as possible into what feels like really manageable goals. And then you can choose the first goal that you want to work on for that week. This really helps you get that feeling that what you're working towards is achievable and it's not as difficult or intimidating as it originally seemed. Here are 3 of my favorite questions to turn to when I'm feeling overwhelmed. The first thing that I like to ask is, what have I accomplished recently? This is going to remind you of your accomplishments and it's going to help you spark that positivity and that energy. The next question that I love to ask is, what do I want to accomplish by the end of the week? You can focus on one goal towards your bigger goal or project. And lastly, I like to ask myself, what is one easy thing I can do in the next 10 to 15 minutes that would get things started? I definitely recommend asking yourself these questions. They can really help with decreasing your overwhelm and increasing your energy levels. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that it gave you some ideas of ways to increase your energy levels when you're working from home and stop feeling tired all the time. I'd love to hear down below in the comment section, what is one takeaway that you got from this video? And once again, thank you so much for watching and I hope to catch you in the next video.